Long before the land we now call Ghana bore that name, it was known as the Gold Coast, a treasure trove of riches, culture, and vibrant traditions. The rivers glistened with gold, the forests teemed with life, and the people lived in harmony with their environment. Their villages were bustling centers of trade and craftsmanship, with marketplaces filled with colorful beads, woven cloth, and tools forged from iron. Yet the people's connection to the land was more than economic, it was spiritual. Their songs, dances, and rituals honored the forests, rivers, and ancestors who had walked the land before them. The people of the Gold Coast were proud of their heritage and deeply connected to the natural world. Their attire reflected this bond. Bark cloth crafted from the inner fibers of trees was soft and durable, used to create garments for everyday life. The skill of turning bark into cloth was an art passed down through generations, a testament to the ingenuity of the people. For special occasions, hunters and warriors adorned themselves in animal skins, a mark of their courage and connection to the creatures that roamed the forests. Intricate beads, made from stone and shells, completed their attire, each piece carrying meaning, a symbol of status, family ties, or spiritual protection. The chiefs, seen as the custodians of their people, wore the most ornate garments. Their robes, fashioned from bark cloth and decorated with gold, beads, and feathers, were symbols of their authority and the sacred trust they held. These leaders were not merely rulers. They were the protectors of their people, guardians of tradition, and mediators between the spiritual and earthly realms. But this trust would soon be shattered in ways no one could have foreseen. It began with whispers of strange ships on the horizon, their sails vast and white, their shapes unlike anything seen before. The first foreigners to arrive were Portuguese explorers, followed by the Dutch, the British, and others. They came bearing gifts, beads, mirrors, rum, and firearms. To the chiefs and traders, these items were intriguing, even desirable. The visitors were welcomed cautiously at first, their goods exchanged for gold, ivory, and pepper. But the visitors' intentions went beyond trade. They hungered for human lives. They sought captives to work the plantations of the Americas, laboring in fields of sugar, cotton, and tobacco. When the slavers revealed their true purpose, the chiefs were divided. Some resisted outright, rejecting the idea of trading their people. Others, however, saw an opportunity. Guns and wealth promised power, security, and the ability to defend their kingdoms from rivals. The first captives sold were prisoners of war, taken from battles between rival tribes. But the slavers' appetite for human cargo was insatiable, and soon the chiefs' choices grew darker. In the dead of night, raiding parties descended upon peaceful villages. Armed with muskets traded for human lives, they set homes ablaze and captured entire families. The captives were bound with iron chains, their wrists and ankles rubbed raw by the unyielding metal. Bark cloth garments and animal skins, once symbols of dignity, were torn and soiled during the chaos. Those who resisted were beaten or killed, their bodies left as grim reminders to others. The marches to the coast were brutal. Under the scorching sun, the captives were driven forward, their feet blistered and bleeding. Mothers clung to their children, only to be wrenched apart by slavers' hands. Fathers tried to protect their families, but the crack of a musket or the slash of a whip silenced their resistance. Those who could not endure the journey collapsed, their bodies abandoned to the forest. For the survivors, the destination was worse than the journey. At the coast, the captives were herded into the cold, stone dungeons of Elmina and Cape Coast castles. These fortresses, initially built as trading posts for gold and goods, had become prisons of despair. Beneath the grand facades, dark chambers reeked of human suffering. The air was thick with the stench of waste and unwashed bodies. Disease spread quickly, and death was a constant companion. The captives, stripped of their bark cloth and animal skin garments, were left naked and vulnerable. They were packed into tiny, airless rooms where movement was impossible and hope seemed a distant memory. Above the dungeons, in the castle halls, the chiefs and European traders conducted their grim business. Deals were struck, human lives exchanged for guns, rum, and trinkets. Some chiefs justified their actions, claiming it was a necessary evil to protect their people from rival kingdoms. If we do not trade with them, others will, they said. But the people saw it differently. They saw betrayal, their leaders turning against them, selling their brothers and sisters into chains. The consequences were devastating. The guns obtained through the trade fueled more wars, tearing apart the fragile peace of the land. Villages became ghostly shadows of their former selves, their populations decimated. The wealth gained from the trade was fleeting, unable to replace the loss of trust and community. The Gold Coast, once a symbol of prosperity, became a land scarred by human suffering. For those who survived the dungeons, the nightmare continued aboard the ships. The Middle Passage was a journey of unimaginable horror. Packed into the holds like cargo, the captives lay on bare wooden planks, unable to move or even sit up. They were chained together, their bodies pressed so tightly that they could barely breathe. The stench of waste, vomit, and death filled the air. Disease spread like wildfire, and many perished before reaching their destination. The bodies of the dead were thrown overboard, claimed by the unforgiving sea. Those who survived arrived in the Americas, stripped not only of their freedom but also of their identities. Their names, languages, and traditions were taken from them. The bark cloth and animal skins they once wore were replaced with rough, degrading garments. Yet, even in the depths of their suffering, they found ways to resist. They sang songs in secret, preserved their stories, and passed down the knowledge of their ancestors, refusing to let the chains of slavery erase their humanity. Back on the Gold Coast, resistance took many forms. Some chiefs refused to participate in the trade, risking their lives and kingdoms to protect their people. Villagers fled into the forests and mountains, forming hidden communities far from the reach of the slavers. Stories of rebellion spread, like the tale of Nana Assamani, a chief who seized Christiansborg Castle from the Europeans and used it to negotiate for his people's safety. Even among the captives, there were acts of defiance. Some leapt from the ships into the ocean, choosing death over bondage. Others organized revolts, fighting against their captors with whatever means they could find. These acts of resistance, though often crushed, were a testament to the unyielding spirit of the people. Today, the castles of Elmina and Cape Coast stand as monuments to this painful history. Their walls bear silent witness to the betrayal, suffering, and resilience of the people of the Gold Coast. Visitors walk through the dungeons, imagining the lives of those who were confined there. They touch the cold stone walls, feel the weight of the past, and listen to the echoes of history. The scars of the transatlantic slave trade remain, but so does the strength of those who endured it. Ghana, the land once called the Gold Coast, has risen from the ashes of its past. The people honor their ancestors by preserving their traditions and sharing their stories. Bark cloth and animal skins, once everyday attire, are now symbols of a time when the land was free and its people walked with dignity. The pain of the past has not been forgotten, but it is matched by the hope of those who carry their legacy forward. The story of the Gold Coast is not just one of agony. It is a story of resilience. Despite the chains, the people's spirits were never broken. Today, Ghana stands as a testament to the strength of a people who refuse to forget their history and who continue to shape their future.